I had one of those moments this weekend where, I asked myself, why do I keep doing this to myself? And, you know, I I I wonder if other people go through this. Have you ever noticed that, say your life is going very well, like you started some new things, some new hobbies, or for me, like I started going to the gym consistently, was eating healthy, and started reading, and there was just a lot of things that I was working on, and I kind of had a little bit of financial breathing room, and it seems like when things start to be going in a better direction, I end up knocking myself back down, and it's like things were really looking up. Like I could kind of almost envision the future, and kind of the route that I was heading down. And all it takes is literally just one night or maybe even just a few hours, to really kind of change that perspective and make you feel like everything that you just did in, say, the past few months or year, was almost a waste. And I feel like with me, my biggest sabotage is gambling, but I think it can go many different ways for other people, whether it's, drugs, or you're an alcoholic, or maybe it's just certain actions you don't want to do anymore that you end up going back to, like, say, gooning, for example. Um, and I think that something I realized this time around, and I know that relapsing is part of the process, and learning more about yourself, and certain things you need to avoid, and all that, so it's like, yes, there's positives in that sabotage that I created, um, but it's like our brain doesn't know what it's like to feel comfortable. And like I said, I had some financial wiggle room, and it's like our brain knows exactly how to survive the chaos that we put it through. And when you are kind of escaping that, it's really hard for your brain to, I guess, accept stability. And as crazy as that sounds, like, coming out of my mouth, that seems crazy, but I think that's what happened. And it's like, I feel like this weekend, when I had my little mishap, it felt like I just threw away the past 4 months of progress, and I wasn't even thinking about, I have been going to the gym consistently. I have been, I've been getting out of my comfort zone. I've been working on these videos, and um, really just trying to better myself in multiple aspects. And because I messed up, it made me feel like all of that was, for nothing. And I think that I certainly can't think that way, because we're still making progress, and obviously I can't justify what I did, and I'll just say what I did. I ended up losing all of the money that I made from selling my truck over the weekend, and that was definitely a major setback, because I needed that money, and I'm not really trying to make this about gambling or anything. So I just wanted to kind of get my why I'm making this video, and my story, but it can be different for other people. And I think that me saying that, um, it feels foreign to be stable. I think people can relate to that, and I think it's it's extremely hard when you feel like your life was on fire for so long that I think it really does make sense. It's like, I think that's even, it goes hand in hand with a toxic relationship, and or just even toxic partners, you know, like you almost become so accustomed to it that like anything else just doesn't feel right. You know, like it's like you're not even feeling right in your own skin. It's like I needed to. I felt like I was bored. That was one thing. I don't want to lose my wallet. um, I was bored, and I was supposed to have some plans over the weekend. It was the 4th of July. I was supposed to go out and hang with some friends, and things didn't end up happening. And I've been diving really deep into just kind of figuring out certain things about myself and learning more about philosophy, and it's made me dive deep and really think more about my life. And I felt like I just really needed to feel something. Like I felt like I wasn't really feeling anything. I wasn't feeling any emotions really, and I think that's why I resorted to it. Not trying to justify it by any means, but I'm just simply coming to these conclusions, after the fact. And I think no, now that I've grown so much more just mentally, I can really pick these things apart and understand it a little bit more. But, I think the hardest part about it was like, you know, having to show up to work on Monday and act like everything was okay, because not everything was okay, and I had to go to the gym, and I had to act like life was going on just as normal, just as a normal day, even though obviously I was going through a lot mentally. But I think that's why I'm making these videos, man, is because like I feel like I'm not alone with these thoughts. So thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.